I love working with wood. Sanding it smooth, and then watching the grain get highlighted with the finish. One of my favorite projects is wooden surfboards, and especially the short ones, the really short ones. I get great exercise. I enjoy the wildlife up close. And on a really short hand or paipo board, every day is overhead. But I gotta tell you, there's nothing like getting deep in the pocket of that perfect wave. It's kind of funny because I've heard some say, well, that's not really surfing. But actually that's surfing like that's flying. It's where it started. So let's make a board. This is a perfect weekend or rainy day project. I'm going to start by making a couple of simple hand or kickboards so that you can make them in about 2 or 3 days. First, the wood. I'm using 4 48 by 3 by 1.5 inch balsa boards. You can use 4 by 3 by 1 pine, but it's a little heavier, and you could do a little more damage when the board hits you. Next, I'm using a couple of 8 by 2 by 1/4 inch redwood bender boards. First thing we're going to do is cut those down to 48 inches and sand them so they're slightly smoother. Now the one important set of tools you're going to need are some clamps, some really good clamps. Then some wood glue, and the more water resistant the better, and some boards to clamp with. Here I'm using some leftover flooring boards cut in half. Now that we got the wood and the tools ready, we need to clamp. And this is what a more elaborate board looks like. But the first thing we're going to do is set up our clamps. Now start to put your wood on top, using the stringers in between each of the boards. And then I set my sturdy flooring or clamping boards on the outside. Now I'm going to start to reposition my clamps so that they're even and they look more like this. Now I'm going to start to reposition my wood so that I get the thicker pieces on the inside and the thinner pieces on the outside. I look for chips or anything like that and make sure that they're on the outside and are going to get sanded off. Now the gluing process. And we want to put plenty on and smear it all over each side of the board as we put it together. Put glue on both sides, smear, and put them together. Then start on the other side and do the same thing. Now put the two sides together, firm it up with your brace boards, and just push your clamps together and reposition the wood. Now begin to tighten the clamps, and make sure your wood is all the way down to the bottom as you're tightening the clamps. You may have to reposition every once in a while to make sure you get it where you want it and how you want it. Always start from the middle and work to the outside. Then go through and do a final clamping, and your glue should pop up like so. Do one more tightening and make sure all is tightened. Now we're going to tip it up sideways, and with a wet rag, we're going to wipe off all of the glue. You want to do this so that you don't have to sand all that glue off. Make sure you get it nice and clean. Get as much glue off as you can. And you'll be thankful, because it'll save you a lot of time in the end. Now check it, make sure it's the way you want it, and set it aside for the night. We'll let the glue set and dry overnight and continue our project tomorrow.